Hi students, good evening everyone. I hope all are doing well. Welcome to Infinity Learn by Sri Chaitanya. This is Miss Soorya, your chemistry faculty from Infinity Learn. Hi Arush, good evening. Welcome to the session. I hope I'm audible. So we have already completed all the important chapters from the syllabus. Hi Pratibha, good evening. So here we are going to discuss some of the previous questions from the CBSE Board, CBSE examination for the first chapter, chemical reactions and equations. Okay, fine. So we have already completed the chapter, right? What are the important topics we have already studied? Hi, good evening all of you. Welcome to the session. So we have already discussed what you mean by the chemical reactions, how we can balance the chemical equations, right? So we have already seen the types of chemical reactions, their balancing, and we have already seen the different examples regarding the chemical reactions, right? So here we are going to discuss some of the questions from the chapter. So let's directly move to the first question. This is like the descriptive questions. Okay, in the case of science, especially for the chemistry, we have already discussed 4 important chapters. The first one is the chemical reactions and equations, that we have already completed. And the second one, acid, bases and salts. The next class I will be coming back with the previous year questions of the acid, base and salt. And third one, metals and non-metals. And the last one is the carbon and its compounds. Pratibha, I hope it is clear. Okay, here is the first question. What can be seen when a strip of copper metal is placed in a solution of silver titrate? Okay, many of you are giving me the answer in the chat box. As it is, precipitate is forming, right? So what will be our answer? What will be the color and what will be the observation is forming there? So this will be the chemical reaction, right? So the copper will be reacting with silver nitrate to form copper nitrate plus silver here, which means that the solution will become blue color because of the presence of copper nitrate, right? This will be our blue color solution and there will be a shiny appearance of the silver metal will be deposited over there. So which type of chemical reaction it is? Yes, it will be a displacement reaction where the precipitate will form and copper nitrate will be formed, which is blue in color. Yes, very good. Rituraj, right? Yes, very good. This is exact explanation for the question. So according to our question, whenever this copper is treating with the silver nitrate, they will be forming copper nitrate by displacing the copper over here. So silver will be formed over there. So shiny silver metal will be deposited over there and the color of the solution will be changes to blue color. Is that clear? So can we move to the next question? Okay. So here is the next question. Which one is the chemical change? Options are given here: rusting of iron or melting of iron. So you may have the idea about what is the difference between chemical change and the physical change. So based on that idea, you just want to identify the answer for this question. Which one is the example of the chemical change, whether it is rusting of iron or melting of iron? Yes, rusting of iron will be the chemical change, right? So what is the, okay, rusting of iron will be the chemical change. What is the exact difference between the chemical change and the physical change? So in the case of chemical change, the new products are forming, right? And it cannot be reversible. But in the case of physical change, if you are asking about the case of melting of iron, there is no new products are forming, there will be only the change in the physical state and it can be reversible, right? So chemical change is the permanent. while physical change will be temporary, right? It can be reversible. Clear? Arush, I didn't get your question. Yes, what is the reaction happening over there? Silver metal will be deposited over there. Your doubt is correct. Okay, now we are moving to the next question. Take your own time to get the answer for the question. Name the oxidizing and reducing agent in the following reaction. So in the case of chemical reactions, we have already studied the redox reaction, right, where the oxidation as well as reduction happening simultaneously. So here, which one will be the oxidizing and reducing agent from the following reaction? So what will be the answer? Yes, copper oxide is the oxidizing agent, whereas hydrogen, right? Yes, hydrogen will be the reducing agent, right? Yes, all of you are correct. So how we can predict whether it is an oxidizing agent or reducing agent? What is the method? First, we need to identify the oxidation state of these compounds, right? So if I am asking about the oxidation state of copper from the copper oxide, what will be the oxidation state? Okay, three methods are there, right? One is the classical concept, electronic concept, and the oxidation number method. So if you are taking the oxidation number method over here, you can say that. So it will be plus 2, right? This will be plus 2, this will be minus 2, and this will be the elemental form. It will be having the oxygen state of 0. And this is again elemental form, oxygen state is equal to 0. And here it is plus 1 and minus 2. So what you are observing here, according to the oxidation number concept, you can say that copper oxide is reduced from plus 2 to 0, right? So here it is happening the reduction, which means that any of the substance that itself undergo reduction are known as the oxidizing agent. Is that clear? Okay, in the case of explain the oxidation reduction, we have already studied three methods, right? One is the classical method. Yes, Rudraj, you are correct, very good. So that's the exact meaning of the exact explanation for the oxidizing and reducing agent. So if you are asking about the concept, first we will be discussing about the classical method, right? So according to classical method, oxidation means addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen. We have already covered these terms in the concept classes. So oxidation means addition of oxygen or the removal of hydrogen, or simply you can say that if you are adding any of the electronegative elements or removing any of the electropositive elements is also based on the classical concept or the method of the oxidation. Okay, there will be three methods to identify the oxidation and reduction. I will be explaining one by one. So according to classical concept, oxidation is the addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen. Then what will be the reduction? Just reverse, right? Removal of oxygen or addition of hydrogen. So this is the first method. Now the second method is known as the electronic concept, right? Do you have any idea about the electronic concept? We will be explaining oxidation reduction in terms of either loss of electrons or gain of electron, right? So if it is happening the gain of electron, it will be known as reduction. Then if it is losing electron, that is known as the oxidation. Then what about the third concept? This is the first method, this is the second method, and third one is the oxidation number method, right? Oxidation number method. So oxidation, according to oxidation number method, so you can write down here. If the oxidation number increases, it will be oxidation. So which one will be happening, which one will be having the oxidation over here? It will be seen that it will be changes to, hydrogen will be changes its oxidation number from 0 to +1, which means that it will be happening oxidation, right? So if the oxidation number decreases, that will be reduction. Is there any doubt in any of the concepts given here? Is there any doubt? So according to our question, we can identify by using the electronic concept or the oxidation number method. You can say that copper oxide will be the oxidizing agent, hydrogen will be the reducing agent. I hope you understand. Okay, now we are moving to the next question. Read the question carefully. A student took sodium sulfate solution in a test tube and added barium chloride solution to it. He observed that an insoluble substance has formed. What will be the color and the molecular formula of the insoluble substance? Options are already provided here. Okay, option C, right? Is there any other answers? So what will be the chemical reaction there? Yes, option C is the correct answer, that is BaSO4. If I am writing the chemical equation here, what we are treating here? Sodium sulfate, right? Sodium sulfate means sodium will be the cation, sulfate will be the anion. We will be crisscrossing the valencies, so it will be forming Na2SO4, right? Na2SO4 will be treating with barium chloride, BaCl2. So what it will be forming? It will be forming barium sulfate, BaSO4 plus 2NaCl, right? So this will be the balanced chemical equation for this particular reaction. So what we are forming here? The sodium sulfate will be treating with barium chloride to form a white colored barium sulfate. So option C will be the correct answer. So the complete question is based on the balancing of the chemical reaction. In general, most of the questions they will be given the chemical reaction in words. You need to convert into the chemical equation. Now we are moving to the next question. So this is a very easy question. While discussing about the balancing of chemical reaction, we have already studied the different concepts, right? So why is it important to balance a skeletal chemical equation? So why we need to balance the chemical equations? Yes, again option C is the correct answer, right? So to verify the law of conservation of mass, so as we already know, law of conservation of mass means mass can be neither created or not destroyed, or mass of the reactant is equal to the total mass of the products over there, right? So that will be the definition or the explanation for the law of conservation of mass. So according to that, in order to balance the mass of the reactants and products over there, we will be balancing the chemical equation. Clear? So in order to verify the law of conservation of mass. Again, here is the next question. A solution of potassium chloride when mixed with silver nitrate solution, an insoluble white substance is formed. Write the chemical reaction involved and also mention the type of white substance is formed over there. A chemical reaction is explained over here in words. We want to convert the chemical reaction into their equational form. Then write down the balanced chemical equation. So we will be treating potassium chloride with silver nitrate, right? So potassium chloride means KCl plus silver nitrate. Silver nitrate means AgNO3. So this will be known as the precipitation reaction, right? Whenever potassium chloride is treated with the silver nitrate, it will be precipitated as the AgCl or the white colored precipitate over here. So this reaction is known as the precipitation reaction. So answer will be silver chloride, right? Is that clear? Okay, the symbol is represented for the precipitate, right? AgCl will be act as a precipitate over there because it is an insoluble white substance. Okay. Here is the next question. Write the balanced equation for the following reaction and identify the type of reaction in each case. First reaction is given here, potassium bromide plus barium iodide is forming potassium iodide plus barium bromide, right? Second reaction, hydrogen plus chlorine gives hydrogen chloride. So what will be the answer for the first question? What will be the balanced chemical equation for the first question? What is the chemical formula of potassium bromide? KBr, right? So KBr will be treating with barium iodide. So it will be BaI2 As we already know how to write down the chemical formula of any of the compound, just crisscross the valencies, right? Then it will be forming potassium iodide plus barium bromide. So this will be the chemical equation. How we can balance the particular reaction? Okay, take your own time. Okay, Durgesha, did you got the answer? So this will be the balanced chemical equation for the first reaction given here. So after observing here, potassium and barium will be replaced over here. So this will be an example for the displacement or the double displacement reaction. Then what about the case of second question? Hydrogen, right? So hydrogen means H2. Then chlorine will be Cl2. If you are treating hydrogen and chlorine together, it will be forming hydrogen chloride, HCl. The balanced equation will be H2 plus Cl2 gives 2HCl, which means this is an example for the combination reaction, right? Two or more reactants are combined together to form a single product. Is that clear? Is there any doubt? So we have already discussed the types of chemical reaction. The question is completely based on the balancing of chemical equation as well as the types of chemical reaction. So from that you can identify the balancing of the chemical equations. So these are the balanced chemical equations, and these are the two different types of the chemical reaction. First one is the double displacement reaction, and the second one is the combination reaction. Okay. Now we are moving to the next question. What is the color of ferrous sulfate crystals? How does this color change after heating? Name the products formed on strongly heating ferrous sulfate crystals. What type of chemical reaction occurs in this reaction? So what is the answer for the first question? What is the color of ferrous sulfate crystals? So ferrous sulfate crystal means it will be having the chemical formula of FeSO4.7H2. These are pale green in color, right? Whenever we are heating the ferrous sulfate crystal, it will be forming a dirty white color substance, right? So what is the chemical equation formed here or chemical reaction formed here? Whenever we are treating or whenever you are heating, heat will be provided there. The ferrous sulfate FeSO4 will be changes to Fe2O3 plus SO2 plus SO3, which means that ferric oxide, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide are the byproducts formed over there for the particular reaction. So what is the color change? It will be forming a dirty white color on heating. Is there any doubt? So again the balancing of chemical reactions. Arush, I have no idea about the particular reaction. And this combination and synthesis means they are the similar term, right? Whenever two reactants or two or more reactions are combined together to form the single product, that particular reaction is known as the combination as well as the synthesis reaction. There is no any difference between the combination and synthesis reaction. Both are similar. So what will be the answer for this question? Write the balanced chemical equations for the following chemical reactions. First one we have already discussed. So just give me the answers in comments. The first answer I will give you here, H2 plus Cl2 gives 2 HCl, right? What about the case of second reaction? Lead will be treating with copper chloride to form lead chloride and copper. Harish, we have already discussed the same question in the previous slide, right? So this is the same reaction, H2 plus Cl2 gives 2 HCl. In general, hydrogen will be exist as a diatomic molecule, right? So it will be given as H2 and Cl2. Hydrogen and chlorine are the diatomic molecules, so it will be H2 plus Cl2 gives 2 HCl. Or you can given it as half H2 plus Cl2 gives HCl, that is also fine. Clear? Okay, I hope you understand, right? So this is a general equation. You can, in general, we can written it as a H2 plus Cl2 gives 2 HCl, or half H2 plus half Cl2 is equal to HCl is also fine, because we just want to balance the mass of the reactants and the products, right, according to law of conservation of mass, right? Now we will be focusing on the second question. So lead, right? Lead will be having the symbol Pb plus copper chloride. Copper chloride means copper is here, chlorine is here, crisscrossing the valency. It will be forming CuCl2. Now what will be the product? It will be PbCl2 plus symbol copper, right? So this reaction is already balanced over here. There is no need of any addition or multiplication of the numbers. So Pb plus CuCl2 gives PbCl2 plus Cu. That is the balanced chemical equation for the second reaction. Is that clear? Now we are moving to the last question. Zinc oxide, right? So this will be the particular reaction. First we will be treating zinc oxide. Zinc oxide will be having the chemical formula of ZnO. That will be treating with the copper to form zinc and carbon, right? Carbon will treating to form zinc and carbon monoxide. CO will be the chemical formula, and it is already balanced over here. There is no need of any multiplication of the numbers. The equation is already balanced. Clear? Any doubt? So the balancing of chemical equation is very important in the case of this particular chapter. You will be getting more questions. Mainly the questions will be asked in the terms of words. You just want to convert the words in the chemical equations. Then you need to balance the chemical equations. Here is the next question. Identify the type of each of the following reactions. Again, the question is based on the types of chemical reactions. So if I am asking about the first reaction, a reaction in which a single product is formed from two or more reactants, which type of reaction it is? We have already studied the types of chemical reactions. Yes, this will be the combination reaction, right? Combination or synthesis is also fine. Then what about the second reaction? The reaction mixture, okay, the reaction mixture becomes warm. So depending upon the temperature exchange or the heat exchange, we will be discussing two types of reaction, right? Whether it is endothermic reaction or the exothermic reaction. Here the reaction mixture becomes warm, which means whether it is heat absorbing or heat losing or heat liberating. Are you sure? Clear? So the reaction mixture becomes warm, it will be heat liberating, so it will be an exothermic reaction. What about the case of third one? An insoluble substance is formed. Okay, insoluble substance means they are forming the precipitate, so this is known as the precipitation reaction, right? In most of the cases, these precipitation reactions are the example of double displacement reaction. Clear? Then what about the last case? External surface of the container in which reaction takes place becomes cold, which means the heat is absorbing, that will be an endothermic process. So already answer is given here. First one is the combination reaction, second one is the exothermic reaction, third one precipitation reaction, and last one is the endothermic reaction depending upon the heat liberated or the heat absorption. Clear? Can we move to the next question? So some of the reactions are given here. We just want to identify the type of reactions present here. The first one is calcium oxide is reacting with water to form calcium hydroxide. And the second one, BaCl2 will be treating with aluminum sulfate to form barium sulfate and aluminum chloride. Last one, we will be heating the ferrous sulfate crystals, right? We will be heating the ferrous sulfate crystal. It will be forming Fe2O3, SO2 and SO3. So which type of chemical reactions are given here? What about the case of first reaction? Calcium oxide will be treating with water to form calcium hydroxide or the slaked lime. So this will be the combination reaction, right? Two or more reactants are combined together to form a single product over here. Yes, first one is the combination reaction. Then what about the second one? Barium chloride will be treating with aluminum sulfate to form barium sulfate and the aluminum chloride, which means that barium sulfate will be precipitated over here. So this reaction is known as the precipitation reaction, or in terms of we can say that this is a double displacement reaction, right? We are interchanging the ions over here. So this is a double displacement reaction. That is precipitation. Barium sulfate is precipitated as So this is again precipitation reaction or the double displacement reaction. Then what about the case of next one? FeSO4 gives Fe2O3 plus SO2 plus SO3. Here we will be heating the substance. We cannot say that whether it is heat liberating or heat absorbing. We can say that this is the decomposition reaction, right? What is the meaning of decomposition reaction? A single product will be dissociated into one or more reactant, right? So here one FeSO4 will be dissociated or decomposed from Fe2O3, SO2 and SO3, more than 3 or more than 2 products, right? So here this one is a decomposition reaction. We cannot predict it as an exothermic or endothermic in terms of temperature. So is there any doubt? This is a decomposition reaction. We can't predict it as an endothermic or exothermic reaction. We are just heating the substance, but it does not mean that they are absorbing the heat. Okay, hope you understand. Here is the next question. Okay, why are decomposition reactions are called the opposite of combination reaction? It is already given in your NCERT textbook that decomposition reactions are the opposite of the combination reaction. Why they are called like this? Write equations for these reactions. So you can explain both combination and the decomposition reaction with the example of any of the two reactions. So what is the meaning? What is the meaning of decomposition reaction? A compound is broken down into simpler compounds or elements. For example, if you are taking the same example over here, this FeSO4, right? FeSO4 will be treated to or decomposed to form Fe2O3 plus SO2 plus SO3. Clear? Single product or single compound will be dissociated to form two or more products, right? Fe2O3, SO2 or SO3. So this is the example of decomposition reaction. Then what about the combination reaction? In general, two reactants will be combined together to form a single product. For example, if you are taking the same example H2 plus Cl2, they will be combined to form one same type of compound HCl. Clear? Can you please give me any other example for the decomposition reaction which are endothermic in nature? Okay, here is the next question, again based on the redox reaction. So I hope you understand how to differentiate the decomposition reaction and the combination reaction. They are just opposite to each other. You can explain along with some of the examples given here. Here is the next question. Chemical reaction is already given here. We want to identify the correct choice from the given options here. So in order to identify the oxidizing agent or the oxidational reduction, here you can use any of the concepts like classical concept, electronic concept or the oxidation number method. So what is happening here for the lead oxide? If I am asking about the oxidation number, So lead will be having +2 oxidation state here, it will be -2, and carbon is a single metal, a single element here, so it will be having 0. Lead is again 0 over here, and for carbon dioxide it will be +4, right? +4 and -2 over here. So what is observing here? The lead will be changes its oxidation number from +2 to +4, which means that it will be undergoing oxidation. So in the case of lead, there is a correction. +2 to 0, right? So it will be undergoing reduction over here. Lead is reduced over here. Then what about the case of carbon? Carbon will be changes its oxidation state from 0 to +4, right? 0 to +4, which means oxidation happening here, right? So what is our correct options? Three and 4 means carbon is oxidized here and lead oxide is reduced here. So 3 and 4 means option B will be the correct answer. Okay, in the case of first reaction, right, for the slaked lime, whenever they are forming Ca and H2, okay, we can predict it as the endothermic reaction. Then what about the case of potassium nitrate? Potassium nitrate, this is again decomposition reaction, but I have no idea about the temperature there. Okay, ammonium dichromate is also present, right? So which means that in general maybe they will be the endothermic reactions. Okay, is there any doubt in the question? So in order to predict whether they are endothermic or exothermic reaction, you must have an idea about whether they are in the process, whether they are absorbing heat or releasing heat. If they are absorbing the heat, it will be endothermic reaction. This completely depends upon you, whether you have idea about the chemical reactions or not. So okay, even I also think so. Decomposition reactions are heat absorbing, right? So they will be endothermic reaction. Clear? Okay, now we are moving to the next question. Distinguish between a displacement reaction and the double displacement reaction here. Identify the displacement reaction and the double displacement reaction given here. I hope you are able to see the reaction given here. HCl will be treating with sodium hydroxide to form sodium chloride and water. And the second reaction, iron will be treating with copper sulfate to form ferrous sulfate and copper. We want to identify whether it is displacement reaction or the double displacement reaction. Yes, Arush, you are correct, right? So what about the case of this first reaction, whether it is a displacement reaction or the double displacement reaction? So we have already know what is the main difference between displacement reaction and the double displacement reaction. Okay, first one is the double displacement reaction, right? So double displacement reaction means we are just interchanging the ions over here. So HCl will be treating to form sodium hydroxide to form sodium chloride and water over here, which means we are just interchanging the ions, or it will be displacing the two metals over here, right? So this is a double displacement reaction. First one is a double displacement. Then what about the case of next one? What is happening here in the second reaction? Iron will be displacing the copper, right? So iron can displace the copper from the copper sulfate solution, which means that it is completely depending upon the reactivity series. We have already studied the reactivity series in the third chapter, metals and non-metals, right? So this is a displacement reaction. So from the displacement reaction, we can identify which one will be the more reactive metal and which one will be the less reactive metal. Clear? So that was the last question from the chapter questions over here. So I am repeating again, in the case of chemical reactions and equations, balancing of chemical reactions are very important. So first thing, you have an idea about how to write down the chemical formula of any of the compound if they are given by words. So we just want to crisscross the valencies of the cations and anions. So they will give the chemical formula of the compound, right? So after finding the chemical formula of the compound, you just want to identify the chemical reaction, then balance the chemical reaction according to law of conservation of mass, right? Then what about the case of another one? The type of chemical reactions. It will be including redox reaction, displacement, combination and decomposition reaction. Then one more point is important, that decomposition reaction is the opposite of the combination reaction. You can expect statement type question over there. Okay, I hope you understand. So in the next class, we will be discussing the next chapter. I will be coming by with the previous year questions of the next chapter. So there is a reminder about the SCORE examination. As we already know, Sri Chandra Academy is giving you an opportunity for the national level of scholarship examination. It will be applicable for the students from grade 3 to 12. And the exam will be conducted on September 28. You just want to register for the exam before September 26. The link will be provided in the description. If you are not registered yet, register just now. So it's a good opportunity for everyone, and you can visit our website. You will be getting the previous year question paper also for that. So that's all about from my side for today. I hope you understand. So Arush, I think it's already provided in the description. You can try once again. It will be working. So I hope you guys enjoyed the session. If you really like the section, hit the like button. Share this particular session to your friends also. It will be helpful for them also. Then subscribe our channel, Infinity Learn 9 and 10 Telegram channel. If you want to get the session PDF, you want to join our Telegram channel, then you will be get the session PDF after all the classes there. So thank you so much all of you. Bye bye.